Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video we are going to talk about how to display data in Flask templates. In a last couple of videos I've shown you how to run a Flask application like a web application and how to set up routes within Python using Flask. Now today we'll actually learn how to pass data from the routes to the views, because that's one of the most important sought after concepts to display dynamic data on the dynamic web pages. We could display data after fetching from a server like a SQL database, or we could even fetch the data from an API like through a GET request, and then finally passing it on to the template and then displaying it. So let's not waste more time into that, and let's get our hands dirty by actually running this stuff into the Flask templates. So friends, the first thing what we need to do in this case is to create one folder called as templates. That's just like a view folder or a templates folder from where Flask is gonna read those files, where it is gonna display those data, and it is actually a kind of a folder at the same level where your whole Flask application is created. So in my case, I have at this level where the dot virtual environment is there, and then my app py. This is my main file, but I'm gonna create a folder called as templates. Now this is the folder where I'm gonna create kind of a views. We could actually use this folder to put on different view files. Fundamentally I could use an HTML file also, .html, which I'm gonna showcase in this. Now let's try doing it with multiple ways. And one of the another things which you need to do is we were already importing Flask from the Flask library, and we also need to import a function called as a render template. Now render template is one function which we are gonna use so that once the user tries to access this route, which particular page is gonna be rendered and what kind of a data you want to send it to the page to be rendered around. Okay. Now what we do is we already have a route like a home route where we created a hello world and return this text. Now this was a simple text, but I don't want to use this. And what I want to use is I want to use a render template function. So what I'll do is let me firstly create a message. So let's say we say hello to the world of Flask templates. Now that's what it is, which makes sense, and I'm gonna now return and use the render template function, and the first is gonna be passed as a file name. Let's say I'm just gonna give it as an index.html, and then I'm gonna pass a variable called as message, which is equal to message. So what it is gonna do is it is gonna go back to the templates folder, and it is gonna try to access the index.html page, and the message is equal to message. Message is a variable, and we are giving the value as a message, which we have already defined. So that's what it is gonna do. Now the next thing which we are gonna do in this case is we go on to the templates, and let's create a file over here called as index.html. Now this particular file is just like an HTML file with whatever the data you want to display. Normally the HTML files are very static files, but we are going to use the Flask library to actually pass on the data, receive the data over here, and display it the way you want to use it. So it's more likely a dynamic display of the data. Fundamentally, this data is to be used just like a server-side scripting or a client-side scripting. If you have used, for example, on the server-side scripting, you might have used Express or Node Express library, where you actually use less than sign or greater than sign percentage, and then you use that kind of embed the script and display the data dynamically. We are almost gonna do the same thing. So the first thing what let's do is let's try to create an HTML page, which is fine, and I'm gonna just use, let's say, another tag called as body. Okay, let me just go on here. So HTML, and then this is my body tag, so which is perfectly fine. So that's my body tag. Now This is a plain HTML which is going to display, but in case you want to little bit kind of make it decent, you want to use some kind of front-end frameworks like Bootstrap or anything, you could use it. Like I have a Bootstrap, so let's go on to the getting started. We could use these, let's say copy this one for the CSS over here. This is one thing which I want to use, and then the second one I want to copy the JS bundle also, which is the script tag, so I'm gonna paste it over here. So this actually kind of links my page to the Bootstrap, though it is recommended to download the library and put it into the proper folder structure like www, and then you have your pictures, images, you have scripts, you have client-side scripts or whatnot. That's the actual recommended way. But in this case, it's just only a demonstration I'm doing, so I'm just trying to link it in that way. Now, the next thing what I'm gonna do, let's say even if you don't know Bootstrap is very simple. So let's say you just go on to the, or I could just use on, let's say I want to use alerts, and you go here, I just want to use, let's say this alert, the blue one. I could just copy this code, or even I could copy this one because I just need this one. So I copy it and I paste it over here. Now this is the stuff that gets displayed out, a simple primary alert it out. That's fine. This is the information which would be displayed. But I don't want to display this information. Rather, I want to display the information from my Flask application, like from the route. And if you go back to app.py, we are actually sending a variable called as message. Now, in order to display this message variable dynamically, I could just use a double this curly bracelets and pass on the message into that. Now, once this is done, there's a very simple one, a simple way of doing the things. So let's try running this. So what we'll do is I'll just use python 3 app.py. You run this, this runs on a server. Let's just go back, copy this, and let's just go back over here and let's say paste it around. Now, once you paste it, so if you see, it actually displays the whole stuff, like it is getting stuff from the message variable. And then why it is actually doing it in the whole way is because it is actually getting the full page width. You could do the same thing if you want to do it in a, let's say, a more better way, like a container or anything. So what you can do, you could actually create another one. So let's say dev class, and you could use a container. So it is more likely a better way of doing the things, and within that you could use whatever you want. So it will not go through the whole page width, rather a particular page width, which I'll showcase. So if you go back, rerun the application, so you run this, so if you see, now the alert is only displayed onto that container width. So that's how typically things are displayed, or like things could work. But now what I want is, I fundamentally want that the information or the data is actually displayed, let's say in the form of a user base. Let's say a user based data is there, like for example array of dictionary objects or whatnot. So once we go back, and we'll go back to app.y, so rather than this, we'll create another data. Let's say we'll say employees. So once I say employees is equal to, I'll just use an array of objects, dictionary we call it in Python. So this is ID and this one, let's say name is, I'll just pass on, for example, Rohit, that's one. And this is, let's say, ID 2, name is, for example, let's say Scott, and this I just pass on, and ID let's say 3, and I'll just pass on a name called as let's say Daniel. So I'm just using 3 objects, like 3 dictionaries in the form of an array, which looks fine. So it has technically an ID and a name. And then what I'm gonna use is I'm just gonna pass a comma and then pass on employees is equal to employees. So that's what it does. So it means it actually does the stuff out here. You pass message, also you pass employees, like 2 variables you are passing on. Now if you go back to the index.html and I want to display it in a proper, let's say a table, so what I can do is I can just search for table, and then you have different like ways of displaying that information. So if we want it like this, for example, this use table stripped, so you could copy this one, or you could even copy this one, or whatever you want to like see this around. So I'll just copy this one and go back, and let's say in this case I'll paste it over here. Now the first thing which I need is ID, and I just need two columns, that is name. I don't need a last name, and I don't need this. So this is my table, I would say header. And then in the table body, I would just simply say, because this is just a table body, so I would just remove everything till table body out here, and this is the TR which I need, that is a table row, right? So now because we have three important let's say data to iterate through, so what we are gonna do, we are going to use some kind of a loop and go through that and then try to use it. Now because there are three different rows, so I'll just try to use the loop over here. So what I'll do is I'll just simply say percentage, and I'll say for data for, let's say, employee in employees. So it goes through the what you call as the array which we are receiving in the form of employees, and then you want to display, which is your TR. So this is one TR, and then you want to display for example the TD, and then you want to display, when you want to display any particular value, so you want to use double curly bracelets. So I'll just use employee, and then I'll just use what you call as the particular I would say the attribute or the key value pair, right? So I just want to use key, that is ID, which is fine. And so that's one. And similarly I could just copy that and then paste it over here. So this is my second one, which is I want to display the second key, which is name. So it would extract the value and display it over there. But fundamentally, because I've started a loop over here, I need to close it here also. So I'll just close it in this case before the body, because the TR is repeating, one TR, second TR, third TR, and so on. And over here I just need to do an end for, and there is no space between end and for. So that's how we actually display that. So whatever the thing goes into the loop it's more likely gonna repeat itself. We don't want to repeat the body part again and again, only the table row, because we want three rows to be displayed. And if all looks good, let's try restarting it. We'll restart the server, go back, and let's rerun the application. We refresh this and we get that. So you get an ID, you get the name, there's a perfect table, and there is this one which is coming to us. So let's see why it is there. So you go back and let's see, oh, there is a table header. So this is why it was showing. So you just copy the stop this, refresh it, and then refresh your page. So that's also gone. So you have an ID and a name, which is perfectly fine, right? So you get the data displayed out. So I hope guys by this way you are able to display data into your Flask application. I'll come up with the next video where I'll show you how you could actually get the data from your API and then actually display it within the Flask page. It's almost similar. You just have to make a call to the API, get the data, and then display it in the same way. But that would be coming in the next video. So I hope guys this kind of makes sense. You guys are going to use it. You are already using it, that's fine. Who are new to Python or Flask, they will find it useful. And I wish you all the best. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be coming back with more videos. Thank you.